was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. Yeah.
He did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me.
Because I know that for him, that's hurtful. I would get a pit in my stomach doing interviews because I'm just like, I can't it's like being like traumatized, kind of like you're too scared to like speak or open yourself up or say the wrong.
For years, quiet rumors have followed Justin Bieber. Whispers about what really went on behind the velvet ropes of fame. The parties that felt too adult, the powerful older figures always nearby, the mentors whose presence seemed more complicated than supportive. And at the center of it all, one relationship that has always raised eyebrows, Justin and Diddy. To many observers, it never looked like a simple bond built on guidance or friendship. There was always a shadow lingering beneath the surface. Hailey Bieber has long stood in public as the loyal, steady partner, weathering Justin's very public struggles, from emotional breakdowns to rehab stays and relentless paparazzi scrutiny. But those close to the situation suggest that behind closed doors, she has been carrying far more than she ever let on. Now, as more voices begin to speak and pressure quietly mounts, Hailey appears less willing to stay silent. What she is reportedly alluding to goes beyond typical celebrity gossip. It paints a troubling picture of a young star navigating an industry filled with power imbalances, blurred boundaries, and uncomfortable situations. According to emerging claims and speculation, Justin may have been placed in environments that were inappropriate for someone so young. Rooms filled with influence, control, and unspoken expectations rather than genuine mentorship. Names that have long hovered around Justin's orbit are once again being questioned, not as accusations, but as part of a broader pattern people are now re-examining. Why were certain powerful figures always nearby? Why did these connections exist at such formative moments in his life? These are the questions Hailey seems to be quietly pointing toward, not to sensationalize, but to expose how vulnerable Justin may have been to it. The heart of these discussions is a deeply unsettling idea. That Justin was seen less as a protected young artist and more as a valuable asset in an industry driven by access and influence. Whether these claims are ever fully proven or not, the conversation itself signals something important. People are finally willing to look past the pop star image and ask what it really cost Justin Bieber to grow up in the spotlight.
If I'd be alive, for sure. It was dark, so I'm very, very grateful to have influences in my life that have played a huge part in me, seeing their relationship with Jesus and their relationship with their wives and their relationship with their kids and saying that's what I want. But I want to definitely tell my story so that if that resonates to anybody, that they can hopefully learn from it.
Hailey is choosing to speak now because she understands the real cost of silence. For years, she has watched her husband carry the weight of experiences that were never his responsibility to bear. Secrets he didn't create, pressures he didn't ask for. And now, she appears ready to connect that pain to the systems and people that allowed it to exist. This is no longer just about standing beside Justin as his wife. It's about confronting an industry that looked the other way, that if anyone believed the story ended with Diddy's legal troubles or quiet settlements, that belief may be premature. According to those closely watching, this chapter is only beginning. And Hailey seems determined to make sure it doesn't unfold in whispers anymore, but in full view. When Justin Bieber was still just a kid with a dream, a laptop, and a YouTube channel, his life changed almost overnight. Fame arrived fast, powerful, and overwhelming, but it came with a price few ever acknowledge. One of the most pivotal moments in his early rise happened when Usher, the global star who helped introduce Justin to the world, connected him with Sean Combs, widely known as Diddy. On the surface, it appeared to be a golden opportunity. A talented young artist being welcomed into elite circles by industry legends. To the public, it looked like mentorship, legacy, protection. But behind the scenes, observers now question how quickly and deeply Diddy embedded himself into Justin's personal life. The relationship seemed to stretch far beyond music or business, blurring boundaries that should have remained clear, especially given Justin's age. Footage from those early years has resurfaced repeatedly, adding fuel to these questions. In one widely circulated clip, Diddy talks about spending 48 hours straight with Justin, promising him a life of luxury, cars, parties, access, status. It's not the language of guidance or career development. It's the language of indulgence and control. And watching it now, many can't ignore how young Justin looks, still a child, smiling uncertainly, already being pulled into an adult world driven by power, temptation, and unspoken expectations. What once passed as harmless industry bonding is now being re-examined through a far more critical lens. Not to rewrite history recklessly, but to ask why no one stepped in, slowed things down, or questioned whether a child should have been exposed to that world so early. And that, it seems, is the conversation Hailey is finally willing to help bring into the open.
Yo, so every time you come to LA, it's a little dusty, but you know, go get the front shot of this.
Man.
Minute.
Woo. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna be driving this next year.
Yeah, when you get 16, you come down and you gotta, you know, wear your seat.
I mean, I'm 15. You could ride in the passenger seat. I got my permit. Not yet.
No.
All right,
No.
16.
No,
16.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down, Justin.
Okay.
Let's slow down. Okay.
One step at a time.
But yeah, the keys is yours when when you get 16. You're good to go.
I'm good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Then when you get 18, you get the house. You get the mansion.
Okay. I get the mansion.
Yeah.
So where are we off to now?
Where would you like to go?
I mean, wherever you want to go. Where are we going?
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
Crazy.
I'm taking this out tonight.
What you wanna do? What you wanna do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go get some girls.
A man after my heart. That's what I'm talking.
This was not a harmless bonding moment. It was an introduction, a presentation. Diddy was not simply offering advice. He was showing Justin what this world could look like. But behind the private jets and luxury suites was a much darker reality. Diddy was allegedly mentoring Justin for a world of influence and submission. Not the good kind of mentorship control. Hailey Bieber knows this. She has seen the footage. She has listened to the stories. And more importantly, she has lived beside the version of Justin that came out of those years. She did not meet a celebrity. She met someone broken, someone who had survived something that very few people ever understood. When Hailey entered Justin's life, the public saw a fresh love story. But behind the scenes, she was piecing together a painful puzzle. There were emotional breakdowns, mysterious trauma, sudden mood swings, and always this pattern of older men from Justin's past showing up in strange ways. People like Diddy, people like Clive Davis, people like Odell Beckham Jr. who seemed to float through the same social circles and party environments. Over time, Hailey began to see it clearly. These men were not just friends or industry supporters. They were part of a network that had access to Justin from a young age. They were part of a system that allowed and encouraged Diddy to play gatekeeper. And through that gate, Justin was allegedly introduced to things no child should ever experience. Usher, whether knowingly or not, handed Justin over to Diddy with full trust. He believed Diddy would help him. But what happened instead was a total loss of control. Diddy brought Justin into his world, not the world of music deals and creative growth, the world of late-night parties, the world of secrecy, the world of favors, pressure, and manipulation. Hailey has started speaking on all this with more courage now. Her words are careful but powerful. In recent moments, she has hinted at what Justin endured. She has alluded to the emotional toll it took. She knows he was put in rooms with powerful men who saw his youth as an opportunity. She knows those promises of girls and cars were not harmless. They were bait. She watched the aftermath unfold in private. The breakdowns, the retreat from the spotlight, the moments Justin could not explain even to her. And she knew that some of the deepest wounds came from that early relationship with Diddy. A relationship that never looked right and now feels even more disturbing in the context of everything that is coming to light. Justin Bieber was not protected. He was passed around. He was given to men who used access as power and power as currency. And Diddy, far from being a positive mentor, allegedly became the main figure facilitating these connections.
Hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. So if she ever needs me, I'm going to be here for her. But yeah, just protecting those moments because people take for granted encounters. And
Hailey is no longer just defending her husband. She is beginning to unravel the network of people who influenced what he experienced. She is reminding the world that behind the global pop star was once a child, placed in the hands of adults who wielded power, influence, and control. That viral video of Diddy promising Justin Ferraris, parties, and girls isn't just a cringeworthy clip. It's a piece of a puzzle that suddenly clicks when viewed through the lens of what Hailey is starting to reveal. And this is only the beginning. From the very start, Justin Bieber's rise seemed like a fairy tale. One moment, he was a kid covering songs on YouTube. The next, he was the biggest pop star on the planet, adored by millions. But behind the success, the screaming fans, and the record-breaking hits, there was a trade-off few could have predicted. Industry whispers over the years suggest that Diddy played a pivotal role in shaping that world, not only as a music mogul, but as someone who understood how to draw young talent into his orbit. The lure was clear: fame, wealth, access to the most exclusive circles, the promise of living a life few could imagine. But with that promise came unspoken expectations, a system of influence, and pressure that few outsiders could see. Those close to Justin, and even Justin himself, have hinted at moments off camera that never felt right. From the very beginning, rumors circulated that Diddy wasn't just a mentor. He was also a gatekeeper. To gain the fame, fortune, and doors that came with his meteoric rise, Justin would allegedly have to navigate a set of unspoken rules. And those rules, according to speculation, came at a cost.
How young I was and so impressionable, and you have everybody telling me how awesome I am at all times, and
It's like taking a kid and putting a kid in a room full of nothing but sweets.
Right.
And just saying, I'll be back in 2 days.
Exactly. I just want people to understand, the psychology behind why I potentially could have problems.
What this meant, according to some insiders, was that Justin was being introduced to certain men, older, powerful figures who moved through the industry quietly but wielded deep influence. They weren't just part of the music world, they were part of Diddy's inner circle. As a teenager, Justin entered that world with little ability to question it, and even less power to resist. At first, it looked like a dream. Gifts, flashy cars, designer clothes, first-class everything. Success, glamour, a taste of the high life. But behind the glitter, it was bait. Justin was learning that obedience and proximity came with rewards, but also unspoken expectations. Alongside the luxuries came pressures, allegiances, and forms of attention no child should ever have to navigate. Even when Justin tried to speak out publicly, there are reports that he faced immediate pushback. His attempts to share his side were allegedly silenced by the very figures who held the keys to his career. What looked like mentorship on the outside may have been, behind closed doors, a complex and troubling lesson in the cost of fame.
Diddy bought his son a Bentley. Maybe, he could buy you one also while you're
He
out.
got me a Lamborghini.
Oh, well, that's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last
He
time.
had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house. And he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
Oh, apparently not.
Now, imagine if Diddy could shut Justin down in a televised interview in front of the whole world. If that was possible in public, think of the influence he could wield behind closed doors. Years later, Justin has begun reflecting publicly on those early experiences, on how he was pulled towards situations and temptations he wasn't ready for, surrounded by people who blurred lines and pushed boundaries. In interviews and documentaries, he's admitted that the pressures and surroundings almost broke him. Justin has described being a child in a world that didn't acknowledge his youth, a world where adults often overstepped and no one stepped in to protect him. Looking back, he said he was led down a path that was toxic and damaging, a path he didn't fully understand at the time. He was just trying to survive, to fit in, to navigate the overwhelming pace of fame. And when the people guiding you are the same people creating the pressure, it becomes nearly impossible to know what's normal. Rumors about Diddy's alleged influence have never gone away. And as lawsuits and allegations against him accumulate, those whispers start to make more sense. What once seemed like random chaos in Justin's past now appears to be the result of deep, systemic manipulation. Hailey Bieber has watched him navigate the aftermath, and what she has hinted at recently shows she knows just how high the cost of fame was. It wasn't just about music or stage lights. It was about survival, and about being used in ways the public never saw. Those who spent time around Diddy have long described his world as excessive, secretive, unpredictable, and for young, inexperienced artists, potentially dangerous. Diddy drew people in with promises of power, wealth, and access, but the deeper they went, the more complicated and controlling the environment became. Usher himself experienced this firsthand years before Justin. As a teenager, he attended Diddy's so-called flavor camp, designed to train young talent and give them a taste of the music industry. By Usher's own account, it was chaotic and beyond what any child should experience. Even after rising to superstardom, he has openly said he would never send his own child to such a place. And yet, years later, Usher introduced a young Justin Bieber to Diddy, someone whose world had already earned a reputation for excess, secrecy, and blurred boundaries. The question is clear. Did Usher believe things had changed, or did he underestimate the environment Justin was entering? Either way, the patterns are striking. Young artists were pulled into Diddy's orbit, surrounded by older men, tempted with luxury and access, and subjected to pressures no teenager should face. With recent revelations, the old stories, awkward interviews, strange parties, flavor camp, take on new significance. They were not eccentricities of a music mogul. They were warning signs. And Justin was caught in that environment at a vulnerable age. Now, Hailey Bieber is starting to speak more openly, highlighting that Justin's early experiences were far from ordinary. He was handed into a system that, while promising fame, also exposed him to manipulation and control. And those who should have known better, the people who had lived through it themselves, were the ones who opened the door. The story isn't just rumor anymore. Former insiders are now speaking out. In a recent YouTube interview, former mobster Michael Franzese sat down with Suge Knight, men who understand the inner workings of the entertainment world. Suge claimed that from the very beginning, Diddy took an unusual interest in Justin, one that felt inappropriate given Justin's age and inexperience. Coming from someone who has seen the ruthlessness of both the streets and the industry, these words carry weight. Suge isn't alone. Gone Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, has echoed similar warnings. He witnessed the parties, the comings and goings, and the overall atmosphere. When it comes to Justin, Deal described it bluntly. Horrible stuff was happening to that kid. He spoke of feeling powerless, knowing something wasn't right, but unable to challenge Diddy due to the mogul's overwhelming influence. Fear of losing careers, of being blackballed, kept people silent. And while they stayed quiet, Justin navigated situations no teenager should have faced. Even beyond Gone Deal, others like Jaguar have shared similar accounts, painting a picture of an environment filled with power, temptation, and control. Justin Bieber's early career, once seen as meteoric success, now reads like a story of survival in a world few understood, and fewer were willing to protect him from.
I'm tired of Usher. I wish somebody would come out and just sue him. We need Usher. No, we do. We need a victim to come out and be honest about him. Because what I'm realizing is that he's gonna fake the funk until the very end. He's just gonna keep on sucking the devil's. And I don't know, like with a baby, that pacifier, sometimes you gotta pull it out. You know what I'm saying? And take it away, right? When the babies used to sucking on the pacifier, that sucking on do what? So you take it out the mouth. Now it's gonna scream and holler, but eventually it will get used to the fact that his mouth is no longer full with that object. And that it's time to just, learn how to live without it. He been sucking on Diddy one time. It's time for him to learn how to make this thing happen without the devil's mouth or ass. Like people look at Usher, they don't see that. They not seeing the victim. They not seeing that boy that got rushed to the hospital. They not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there. Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there. Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute. And his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that. He had already been to the hospital. That situation that Gene was talking about. And you still took Bieber there. But you got custody of him first. Diddy had already tried. They wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
These are not isolated accounts. They are part of a larger, darker story, one where young artists were promised the world but pulled into situations far more destructive than anyone warned them about. A story where fame came with a hidden price, and where the adults who should have been mentors and protectors instead became gatekeepers to worlds no child should have been exposed to. Hailey Bieber knows this story better than anyone. She may not name names outright, but her recent interviews, her behavior, and the way she speaks about Justin's past make it clear that she has seen and heard things that still haunt her. She has hinted at the pain, alluded to truths, and now, as voices from insiders begin to confirm what she has carried in silence, the pattern is emerging. The pattern is chilling. Diddy draws close to young rising stars, showers them with gifts, gives them access to things most people only dream about, but simultaneously pulls them into a lifestyle far from glamorous. A world of secrecy, private parties, older men, blurred boundaries, and a level of control that leaves young artists confused, broken, and often unable to speak up. Justin Bieber was not the first, and tragically, may not have been the last. What sets his story apart is that people are finally talking. The walls of silence are beginning to crack. Former insiders are stepping forward, and each revelation unravels pieces of the industry's most closely guarded secrets. What happened to Justin isn't just another celebrity anecdote. It is a warning, a signal to look deeper, ask harder questions, and listen when those closest to the pain finally start to speak. When voices like Suge Knight, Gone Deal, Hailey Bieber, and others all point in the same direction, it moves from speculation towards something much closer to truth. Hailey has been connected to this story for far longer than most realize. Even before she and Justin officially became a couple, their lives were quietly intertwined. They moved in overlapping circles, had mutual friends, and their families operated in similar environments. Early on, even from a distance, Hailey could sense that something about Justin was heavy, unsettled, and different. She noticed the pressure building, the constant attention, the strange friendships, and the older men who always seemed to have access. She saw the headlines, heard the rumors. She didn't know everything, but she knew enough to feel that something was off as their relationship deepened, and she became his girlfriend and eventually his wife. Hailey stepped fully into Justin's world, and with it, into the center of his pain. What she had only sensed from afar proved far worse than she imagined. She witnessed the toll behind closed doors, the way Justin would shut down, the triggers certain names or memories would bring, the shifts in mood when Diddy's name arose. And when the lawsuits and allegations began surfacing in the media, Hailey watched the impact in real time. Justin's reactions weren't just responses to headlines. They were reliving the past, confronting long-buried confusion, hurt, and feelings of being used. And with those resurfacing memories came destructive coping mechanisms, substance use, panic, mental health struggles, and moments where he couldn't even explain what was wrong. Only that he felt hollowed out, lost, and triggered.
I don't want her to go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody. Yeah, if she ever needs me, I'm just a call away.
Hailey became Justin's anchor during those moments. She had no choice. She could not unsee what she now knew. She began connecting the dots. She understood what he had been exposed to as a teenager. She knew who had been in his life. And as the story started unraveling publicly, she finally saw just how deep the wounds ran. Hailey has never stated everything outright, but her actions speak louder than words. The way she fiercely protects him, the care she takes when discussing his past, the way she leans in when he struggles. It's clear she understands what he went through. She saw the beginnings from afar, lived through it up close as his partner, and now carries the truth alongside him as the world slowly catches up. Her quiet warnings matter because they come from someone who has witnessed it all. And now, the pieces are starting to fall into place. So, what do you think? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated. I post weekly, uncovering the stories and secrets behind your favorite celebrities.